Hi guys, my name is Varun. I've been recently employed by Amplify Technology as a senior business analyst, placed on a client side to work on a infrastructure upgrade project. I've got about 13 years worth of experience working within the project delivery space. I've worked in various positions such as test analyst, business analyst, scrum master, product owner, and sometimes a mix of those as well. Then I've worked for various clients, such as government, non-government clients, and I'm a strong advocate of working within Agile ways of working. I consider myself an Agile servant leader as well, who believes in delivering solutions that can save money and increase productivity. Sorry, I do talk a lot of Agile. Most importantly, I'm someone who is open to learn from people and processes around me. That's a bit about me.
So today's talk is about the characteristics of a high-performance team. So I guess just off the bat, what would you consider are some characteristics of a high-performance team?
Look, it's a very interesting question, Sam. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to work in a very small scale teams, and as small as maybe 3 or 4, and in a relatively larger teams, say around 20, 25 people as well, split within the different scope of work, but leading towards the same solution within a safe environment. But there are different analogies and knowledge and ideas out there to which says that this is how a high-performing team looks like. But I'm happy to share my 2 cents. I feel that the first and foremost is the unified outlook. Is very important for a very successful team. When I say unified outlook, is essentially it's a team charter that promotes a one team culture within the team, right? And when I say team charter, it can be split into various categories, such as, let's say, a shared vision, a common goal, putting yourselves in the customer shoes, trust and respect among each other, and most importantly, execution of the excellent processes within the team to deliver a solution based on customer need. And these are at a high level. These are the what. And I essentially feel that a high-performing team, how they implement these is by establishing a social contract at the start of the project, which defines this is how we're going to approach towards the various situations within the project. And this is how we're going to react to the need of not only to the stakeholders, but our internal team needs as well. And the second thing is establishing your ways of working, which defines that anytime when the requirements come through, this is a process that we're going to take every single requirement through, so that no matter within anybody who's looking at that process within the team or outside the team, they are able to gauge an understanding and trust that this team knows what they're doing and they will be able to deliver it. So that is the number one thing, which is a unified outlook in developing that one team culture who understands what they're doing. Second thing I believe is ownership and accountability. I kind of feel that ownership and accountability it should be given to any team to be a high-performing team. Because what happens is basically a team which is given an ownership to and accountability to make the decisions by themselves within the project, they are able to take the better responsibility, and they are able to take every success and failure as our success and our failure, rather than my success and your failure, or my failure, your success, whichever way we want to call it. So a high-performing team is always looks to take the ownership and accountability of the work that's been given to them. Another thing which I generally call out in any at the start of the projects, setting up the teams, is basically visibility of the culture of excellence within the team. And I generally like to divide that into 3 categories. One is what we call it a process excellence. Other is the engineering excellence, and third is the people excellence. So then from a process point of view, does team know their ways of working? Do they know, as I was saying before, when the requirement gets into a team, how they're gonna get it from to do to done state? right? Then to the second part comes the engineering excellence. What that means is basically, do we have enough technical knowledge within the team, and we also have ways established within the team to be able to peer review each other's work so that we know that the code that we are developing and delivering for the customer is scalable code, and it is following the best practices and organization structure as well. And the last but not least is the people excellence, which means that we have built a team which is a mix of some people with the T-shaped skills, right, who are not only able to deliver deliver the work within their primary skill set, but they're also able to input ideas around the secondary skill sets that may be primary skill set for other people within the team, if it makes sense. This is what I feel is another aspect. And then the last two things that I generally say, one of them is emotional intelligence, where we are not able to, where we are not only appreciating other members' team efforts, but at the same time, we understand their emotions, and while the times are tough, we're able to help them guide on the right path. And lastly, leadership, which is the two types of leadership, I call it. One which is given to you by the business in the form of product owners, product managers, scrum masters. And the second is the shared leadership, which is developed within the team, right? So when times are tough and one person is not available, other person is able to step into that role to be able to resolve those blockers. So those are the essentially 4 or 5 categories that I call, that I often talk about are the key metrics for any team to be successful.
Great. So something that got me thinking of is that there's there's a big necessity in your model for upfront work to engineer the team culture and processes to basically build like the little engine that is the team. Now, my question is, who leads that? Is it the leader who will be leading the team? Or can that transition? Because the person who may be the best leader for the overall team may not be the person who guides everyone through the process to begin with.
So if I could get the question right, that means that we're looking for an answer which defines that how should we develop a team based on what's been given to us, right? Is that the right understanding that I got?
Yeah, it's like it was more that if you're tasked with building a new team, right? You're putting together a team. The person who goes through the initial stages of team formation may not be the person who leads that team afterwards.
Yeah.
Or
correct.
So that is the case. The person who sets the team up doesn't always have to be the leader.
Yeah, correct. It doesn't always have to be the leader, but I personally feel that the person who has led a project within the discovery phase, right? It's not a one-man show. Anytime when we're running a discovery workshops to establish what is the scope of this project, I believe some of the people within that, from the discovery phase, should transition into the delivery phase, right? So that if there are any gaps within while we are transitioning from discovery to delivery, those could be captured and covered, right? And this is where I earlier called the point of shared leadership. Even though we do have a team leader within the project, within the discovery phase, given to the team by the business, but if we build a culture of shared leadership, we are able to mitigate the fact of not passing the whole information to the delivery team, and we are able to better channelize it at that time. How to develop a team? It's another question. Because essentially what I'm looking to get out of the discovery phase is a set of requirements that are able to help me understand this is where the maximum workload is. If the workload is more back-end, more front-end, or it's a mix of both, right? Which is where we need to find people with the T-shaped skills or to build the cross-functional teams, right? So that we are able to then move the project forward. Because essentially, resourcing is something that we would never be able to get it right in the word go, from the word go. it always changes during the project. And which is where if we have the T-shaped skill people, we are able to mitigate the need of the project.
Mm-hmm. So what role does team size play in high performance teams?
Well, I probably would say that how soon I probably would ask how soon the business model project to be delivered, right? A high performance team is I essentially say that um, team size. I probably would say that it really depends if the requirements of a project are expected to be delivered within the 3 months, right? And the scope of work that we are looking to deliver, it needs, let's just say, 140 front-end hours, right? And then if we look to see what is this front-end work is our longest pole, right? And if it is the longest pole, can it be delivered within the, can it be, how can, what do I say? So if a aspect of the work is the longest pole within the project, then you essentially look to say, there's a back-end work which is less than the amount required to deliver that front-end work, and then rest of the work will happen around it. Then what you essentially do is you split that 140 hours among 2 resources that will give you 2 front-end resources and a single back-end resource. So that essentially gives you a combination of how should you look to split to get the right size of the project, the right size of the team. It's not about finger in the sky, here is the team size, you go. You look at the data, you look at how many hours do we need to put towards each stream, and use that information to drive how big the team size should be. That's my take on it.
Okay. How diverse should skill sets be within a team? Obviously, that depends on the scope of the project, but
yeah,
how much diversity of skills? Like, is there something for most projects? Should there always be a certain skill set, designer, project manager, da 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 da?
So I guess the diversity within the skills is one is more of a personal level, and other is more around the skills level. From a personal point of view, I would say that there are cultural backgrounds, there are gender, and there are other categories. And from a skills point of view, how many years worth of experience does a person have? I personally feel that a team that is more diverse within the both areas, personal as well as skills, ends up becoming more high performing team. The reason for that is basically if there are 2 seniors, 1 mid-level, 1 junior within the team, they're all looking up to each other, one to not only learn the best processes, second to guide each other through understanding how can this be done, how can a certain thing can be done in a better way, right? However, if we have 5 senior tech leads within the same team, each have their own experiences, right? They would be getting stuck on the points that this is the best practices is. So in my opinion, diversity is a very important aspect of any team to be successful and to perform at a level that any business would want it to.
You mentioned Agile at the start. What is it about Agile as an approach that you like?
There are 4 key pillars of an Agile methodology, right? One is the individual interactions over the processes and tools, right? Which promotes that we need to be able to approach people for the ideas rather than, no, I cannot see that person because that person always only requests meetings, and those meeting requests needs to be approved by these people, right? Second aspect that I really love about the Agile is the working software over the comprehensive documentation. So we're not spending too much time documenting each and every single little scenario. When we get to the delivery, we know that we're not going to be able to meet 25% of them. And then there's a rework around 25% of them, which shows up into the project. Right? And the third thing is the customer collaboration over the contract negotiations, right? Where we are continually be it the framework that you're following, be it a Kanban or a Scrum model that you're following, we are continually involving customers in the showcases to help them understand this is how the progress is going, and looking for the feedback and looking to improve based on that feedback, rather than not going one big bang, here's what you got. And last but not least is responding to the change rather than sticking to the plans, because plans, they're not always right. Change, the ability to be able to respond to the change is a better way of doing things rather than making a whole plan and then sticking to the front. So these are the 4 pillars, as we call, of Agile, and this is what I believe that if we implement them on a day-to-day basis, that's how actually things happen.
Mm-hmm. So what advice would you give to someone who is building a team from scratch?
I would probably say if someone is building a team from the scratch, look to have a skill set, a diverse skill set of people with the technical knowledge of the work that we're looking to deliver. And if we're hiring someone new, look to find people who are able to think on the feet, right? Especially within the business analysis, within the product ownership space, or within the Scrum Master space, within the stakeholder management space. Look to find people who are able to think on the feet, rather than hiring people who know each and everything about your system and your tools, because tools and systems can be taught, but the ability to think on the feet and to be able to react to the need is not something that can be taught overnight. So that's my only advice.
Yeah. And any other advice to those who might be building a team and they want it to be awesome, kick-ass, highly productive?
I would probably say look to learn from the people within the team first before you start making a change, right? Because there are certain things that are happening within the team because of certain reasons. And if, as a person, as a team member, as a new team member, if we do not know those reasons, suggesting or overhauling the change could be very detrimental to the progress of the project. So always look to learn from the people and the processes within the project, and then wait for the right moment to make those changes.
Awesome.